you should be getting some Twitch stuff in just a minute. In just a moment, I guess.
Okay, looks like it's coming on.
Okay.
I am. Oh, it's muted. It is also frozen now.
It's the
Yep,
little
I hear
light,
something.
the little light on the front.
Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Josh, will you say something?
Something. This is me, Josh, saying a few things.
The timing was much easier to do once I realized that we have a thing called post-production. So here we go. This is The Dying of the Light, Season 3 of the Starfall Collective. The Starfall Collective is a collaborative storytelling group using the Dungeons & Dragons game system as a vehicle for creating rich and compelling stories in a fictional world that we've been developing together for a while. You can find out more about the collective as well as the stories we're telling at thestarfallcollective.com. We are back with a new episode. Let's find out who's in this episode. I am Sir Robert Burbridge, a father and entrepreneur, and I am the host of this season's story. With me tonight are a few friends playing the characters in this drama. I will introduce you. Please say your name, something about yourself if you'd like, and a brief description of the character that you're playing. Why don't we start with Jared?
Hey, my name's Jared. I'm playing Yoshka. He's the the human bard.
And Jacob.
Hello, my name is Jacob, and I am playing a person named Jacob, who is playing Splint, the sorcerer that has kindly helped everyone escape.
Good. Matt?
Hi, my name is Matthew Talamini. I'm a writer and web developer based in Providence, Rhode Island, and you can find my stuff at MatthewTalamini.com. That's Matthew, TALAMINI.com. I'm playing the shirtless wizard, Diamondback. I'm a necromancer.
And our other Matthew Talamini, Josh?
I am playing the scathing commentary on the party's decisions by playing its conscience. I am Zolb. I am not in possession of a soul, and yet am very much a part of this endeavor. Hopefully, I will be even more a part of it. What's that?
And also, you're a zombie.
And also, I'm a zombie. In real life, I am the director of visualization at a certain branch of a startup that it occurs to me I might not even be able to say that yet because I signed an NDA. So let me check with my lawyer. But other than that, I hunt for Bigfoot down by the river and do fun stuff like that. So
good. And who's next? Belvari.
Hello, I'm Belvari, and this week I'm sponsored by the television series and TV movies Columbo. They're pretty good. You should check them out.
Okay. Pat?
Hello, I am Patrick. I am playing the character Toll, and I had chicken pox twice.
Woohoo! What? That's supposed to be impossible.
Congratulations.
And yet here he is. You're not going to disbelieve everything you read on Facebook anymore, are you?
That's right. He is our own, what's it called? Chickenpox Mary.
That's me.
Spreading the word to them's as need hearing.
And finally,
I'm
Aaron
suddenly
Joy.
itchy. Aaron Joy, hi. I'm playing Nino, something like that. She's not picky. Who is technically a forest gnome, but more prominently a grandmother.
Okay. So let's get started. Previously on The Dying of the Light, our party escaped from the orc pen. They had a scuffle with the Iron Bell. The second part of that episode, after their escape, actually was relatively uneventful. They made their way through the looming darkness of the false night to the ruins where they had stayed a few nights ago, several weeks ago in our world's time. The party arrived shortly after dark, and having made their way through. So, quick recap of what happened there was Belvari turned into a giant lizard and used his scaly hide, augmented by the enlarge spell from Diamondback to make him bigger, used his tough, scaly hide to push his way through the thorny, terrible underbrush, finishing the tunnel digging that Splint had previously started. They got out of the thick brush that was being used to keep the slave pens and the slave pen in the Orc town secure, and utilizing their wits, decided to head west and avoid the slave pen. The Orc town. Finding their road that they believed would take them back towards the town of Miradau, they managed to go a full day's travel, not a full day, but most of a day's travel, and find, as I said, the ruined stone town that they had been in before. Now, before we go any further, let me remind you, the audience, and also the players, of a couple of things that are present, that are manifestly present to you. I want to make sure that you players have this in mind, and the audience as well. When they last left the town of Miradau, Garriott, let's call him leader of the town, maybe almost like a mayor, although the little hamlet has only a dozen or so people. Garriott had sent them on a mission to rescue the orphan demi-halfling Orden. They have now successfully completed that mission and are on their way back, bringing Orden with them, having picked up 2 other slaves on the way. These new slaves do not have a clear role in the party, but it does not seem that this party is itself interested in having them as slaves. We will find out as time goes on what their roles are. Those are Splint, who helped them get out of the Orcish area, and also Toll. Is that right? Toll, who helped them escape the combat. Is that one of y'all? Or a dog. Okay. That was Toll, who helped them to escape the combat. Things were about to get really hairy. They killed the Iron Bell representative named Yat, who was, something of an idiot. However, the much more severe Griffith had stumbled onto the scene and saw them trying to escape. It was thanks to Toll and his quick thinking as he broke free from his captors that they were able to create a cloud of smoke or fog and escape into the thicket. So we will see how that goes. Now, as they've been walking, the darkness, the mist that's usually so faint as to be almost unseeable to the naked eye when you're used to it, when you're accustomed to it, that swirls around the forest and provides the forest with its magic, has been getting thick and also growing deep. As night fell, that same thick black mist was right around calf to maybe knee deep for the human-sized players. That means that for the smaller players like Neno, it was closer to waist to kind of chest deep. She being a halfling and Orden being a demi-halfling are much smaller. And here's what that looks like. As night fell, so it was getting dark and pitch black, as you remember that this forest does at night. As night fell, when they were looking down, their feet, their bodies down to their feet faded into blackness. It was as though they were wading in dark water. They could see, a foot or so into it, but down towards their toes, it was becoming completely obscured. And over the past day or so, this has been welling up in the landscape and, as I said, knee to waist deep, depending on the size of them. Night fell, and just as they made it back into their town, to the ruins that they had stayed in before, these ruins, you'll remember, are a stone set of ruins, maybe 100 years old, just judging by the looks of it. They had made one hut in these ruins habitable last time. They are staying in the same one. And we left our episode with them just arriving and getting ready to set up their night watch schedule. So I'm going to actually be, while you all work out your sleep schedule and who's going to do what, I am going to mute myself for a moment while y'all do that to get some of these components in order.
Zolb,
Belvari has already gone to sleep.
with a muffled noise, Zolb stands in the corner going,
I can't hear you, Nendo.
So, guys, we have components, but we don't have knowledge. I've got the veil. It's gonna. I can use it twice today. That's 2 hours worth of looking. It should help us identify which of these components are magically useful and which are just rubbish. And it's going to reset tomorrow morning, so we might as well use them tonight before midnight or before the reset time. I'm happy to stay awake the first watch and get 2 hours worth of spreading apart the components and putting the ones that have magic to them off to this wall, and the others I'll just leave on this wall and we can deal with them tomorrow morning. How's that sound?
Sounds good. Why don't you take the lockbox? I'm happy to take second shift. I don't know what to expect during this long night. Does anybody want to take first and third?
Diamondback says, my Python and Gull here will watch with a certain amount of alacrity, not as effectively as one of us would, but I think it makes it safe. As long as Neno is awake, she can count as having taken the first watch, and none of the rest of us need to be awake. The Python is lying in front of the door, and Gulb is also watching. I think we'll be alerted if any danger comes. I will myself take the third watch.
Sounds like a plan.
He was faithful Snake last time. And I suppose we should get some sleep tonight, though I don't suppose we'll see the morning in the morning. I don't know what to expect.
Have we eaten today? I know, it's my grandmotherliness kicking in, but you guys might still be growing. I'm pretty sure I'm not growing.
Splint is going to he's going to perk up at this and say, well, I happen to be a accomplished chef, so perhaps I could whip something up real quick.
And just to remind everybody, you were about to be served breakfast by Splint in the morning when Yat walked in and you had conflict. You did not eat at all today.
Right. We definitely need to eat. Josh, I'm going to dig into Gulb's pack and see if there's any of that like venison left. It's probably all gone. But if there's
Just a little bit
or venison left?
There's a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
I'll pull it up. Yeah.
So I'm going to dig that out and present it to Splint.
Splint is going to look at it and he's going to look at it and ask what it is.
This is venison from a giant deer of some kind that we had to kill a ways back. It was extremely bloodthirsty. A glorious fight indeed. I stabbed it numerous times. And yet tragic losses nonetheless. But the meat is probably still good.
So I have 30. I can mark it down to 25, and you guys can use 5 of them.
Sounds like a plan.
Oh, you made it into jerky, didn't you? So it'll keep.
It's rations. I've got it written down. I don't know.
Cool.
Is 5 right? Are there 6 of us that need to eat?
I don't count. I don't eat.
Yeah, there are 6.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
And I'll leave it
Still.
to you,
Yes.
Toll, whether or not you ate. We didn't really cover that. You weren't with them at that moment.
If Belvari's asleep, then we'll just leave a plate for him, or we'll leave some by his face for when he wakes up.
I'll go ahead and
Yeah.
mark double rations out so you can just make breakfast now.
Okay, good
All
idea. We'll want to
Sounds
be
like a
off
plan.
quickly in the morning.
Yeah.
These
So
are
you're
ideas.
cooking up a big old mess of meat.
Splint is also going to, as part of the breakfast thing, he has an ability that allows him to make these sort of like biscuits that give you temporary hit points. So he's going to make a few of those with his own components, just for him to keep. I'll mark some off on my own, but I'm just going to make 3.
Cool.
A couple things about the situation inside of this hut. There's a snake barring the door, just laying across it. So if anything tries to come in, they'll step on it. And Gulb is standing near whatever opening there is. If there's another opening besides the door, like the window, Gulb is standing by the window. But if it's just the door, he's standing by the door. And Diamondback's shirt is off, so there's a continual flame flickering across his shoulders that will provide a nightlight. Enough light for even if Diamondback is asleep, there will be at 1 torch worth of light for whoever's on watch to see by. That
And-
spell is permanent. It
Tell me-
lasts until dispelled.
Tell me about that
Intense.
light, Matt. I want describe it to me. Technically,
sure.
describe it to me rather than
Yeah.
dramatically.
I'll have to look up the spell.
The highlight
While you're
last time
looking
was
it out.
last until dispelled.
Listen, Splint,
Yes?
take a look through this Gulb's old pouch. I want you to take as much as you will find useful. We don't know what we're going to face in this long night.
That's quite true, Splint says.
It's the second tab of the party shared component pouch.
All right.
Google Sheet.
I see.
Okay, so let me wait. Let me wait for Aaron Joy to come back.
I'll tell you the details of this spell if you want.
Just tell me about the light that it casts.
A flame equivalent in brightness to a torch. The effect looks like a regular flame, but it creates no heat and doesn't use oxygen. It can be covered or hidden, but not smothered or quenched.
So you have no shirt on, right? Did you just take it off when you got in, or did you not have one on?
I think we've been using it as a torch this
For a
whole
little
journey.
bit. Okay. So
Yeah.
a curious thing happens. Diamondback is he inconspicuously flexes his sinewy muscles, making sure that the light is present and everybody sees. And the room is illuminated for about 20 feet out, which is the entire room, in a nice bright light, which, to give you all a sense of that, is approximately equivalent to daylight. And probably through the cracks, there's a dim light shining outside of the house, of the little hut that you're in. When Diamondback is ready for sleep and he kneels down, at some point you find that he laying on the ground, as he goes to lay down on the ground, getting to about down to his knees, the light dims to a dim light filling the room. And as he lays down, it is enough to see by, but it is certainly not a bright light by any means. You have a sense that this gives a rough indication of how deep this dark magic mist has gotten. And as Diamondback lays on the floor, he himself is illuminated dimly and casting into the entire room a dim light, although you notice the ceiling is still fairly well lit.
So if we're lying down to sleep, we're sort of in this mist.
Yeah. And to give you a sense, you would know this, but you're always in the mist. The mist is
Right.
always
We're
in
always
force.
like stepping in it and it's everywhere.
Yeah, it's just that it's dense and sort of visible to your naked eye now, whereas you've, since childhood learned to sort of ignore it because it's an unimportant detail most of the time. Okay, so are you guys all set for what you're going to do? Yeah? Okay.
Yep.
So this mist makes things a little bit different. Neno, you're awake. You're going to be awake using your veil. Is there anyone else going to be awake with you on this first watch?
Zolb.
Zol, yeah, quote unquote awake.
Only 3 watches needed.
3 watches are needed, yeah.
Okay, that's what I assumed.
Okay. And Neno, if you recall, this is actually Aaron Joy. If you recall, if you pay complete attention to listening to your surroundings, then the world has disadvantage on whether you have an encounter. If you're doing something else, then it's a normal roll, which is okay with me. I'm just reminding you of that. What are you going to be doing during this watch?
She has 2 hours of veil usefulness, so she's going to spend the first 2 hours using the veil and sorting components into worth researching, not worth researching.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest of the time she'll be paying complete attention.
Okay. And I'll just remind you that at dawn, you get, I think it's 1d4 charges back, up to a maximum of 4. It's in your,
my memory was 2, but it could be. I'll look it up.
it's in your D&D Beyond inventory. So, okay. Well,
Were we gonna have the snake do all 3 watches, or were you just meaning something else, Matt?
No, the snake is also awake and lying on the outside of the hut.
And the snake and Gulb have instructions. They can understand simple instructions. The snake's instructions are if anybody tries to come in through that door, it comes and alerts Diamondback. Is that right?
It comes and alerts me and turns right back into
Turns
a
into a
staff.
staff. That's right. And similarly for Gulb, right? He's doing the same basic thing.
Yeah, Gulb is instructed to watch and also to protect us.
Okay. Neither of them have
has
enough
a
mental
list of
wherewithal, Jared, to
Okay.
be listening for things.
I'll stay up for the first 2 watches then.
Okay. Sounds good. And you're going to be paying attention,
Just watching out.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
Does anybody remember if I used the veil this day? I don't think I did.
I think so.
I don't think so either.
Okay, then I'm back to 4 hours of it, and I'm going to do that the entire time.
Okay. Sounds good.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On my character sheet, I have a bunch of temporary hit points marked, which I think various different people gave me during our last battle.
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask the people who gave them to me whether they've worn off by now.
Not until a long rest is completed.
Okay, so in the morning, I'll have to put these temporary hit points away.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So you all go to sleep. It is as dark as normal plus some additional darkness. That is to say, basically, any torches or lights that you have at ground level, if you have a little fire. If I remember previously in the hut, you had made a little kind of campfire in the center. Anything like that is casting a dim light. If you have anything above that level, it's casting a bright light, so above a couple of feet. However, the night is normally very dark. You're not unusually affected by that dimness, aside from the fact that inside your hut, it's not quite as bright as it was. It's about half as bright. So as these guys go to sleep, sorry, I'm just going to wait for Aaron Joy because she's the one who's awake right now. Just make sure she's there. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
I'm awake too.
And Yoshika's awake. That's right. So as these others go to sleep to rejuvenate themselves, Yoshika and Neno, please roll me a perception check with advantage. So roll 2 of them and give me the highest. The higher, I should say.
$18.
19.
Okay. So throughout the previous day, you have been hearing this incessant sound. Sound might be the wrong word for what you're hearing, and hearing might be the wrong word for how you're experiencing it, but you can't quite place it. It has almost the feeling inside your soul of like you're hearing yelling or shouting or screaming or something like that, but you don't actually hear it that you can tell. It's faint and ubiquitous and difficult to place exactly. Well, as during this first hour that you're awake, you 18 and 19, so yeah. During this first hour that you're awake, you hear it becomes the only thing that you can hear. It's still hard to point out because it's so continuous, but you are definitely hearing something that almost sounds like the roar of a crowd or something, except not very loud at all. It's you have to focus on it to find it. It leaves you with a little bit of an uneasy feeling. It's not a pleasant sound. It's not something shouting at you or growling at you. It's not directed at you that you can tell, but it's present and a little unsettling. Neno, you are going to be, if I remember correctly, identifying 20 components this first hour?
No, I'm going to be staring at all the components and divvying them into piles of have a magical aura, don't.
Okay.
I'm probably not going to be actually identifying any particular one. I'm just culling the herd.
Sure. Okay. There's multiple, for the listening audience, there are several ways you can use detect magic, and this is a good one. What you find during this hour, you go through, it's dark and hard to see, but there's magic basically everywhere, which obscures your vision a little bit. However, none of the components seem to be unmagical. It looks as though the lockbox was used to store useful components, which is great. So that first hour passes. We come into the second hour, and
So she would probably find that out right away, right?
well, she's got to go ahead.
I'm looking at every component in every person's pouch.
Oh, in every person's pouch.
Oh.
Yes,
Sorry.
I'm culling them all into so we can dump the stuff that's not useful and know what to concentrate on during our research time.
That will require slightly more work for me, which I don't mind, but I mean to say I won't have that ready instantly for us. However, why don't we, for the sake of narrative here, say that you've done that, and I'll help get that sorted out. And one of the things is that all of the lockbox stuff has components on it. So you can focus all your next energies towards identifying those as well as other ones for people. Does that sound good?
And while you come to me and say, hey, let me check through your stuff for you, I'll say, well, you can, but I think most of us have already checked our stuff.
Yeah, I've pretty much checked my stuff.
One thing you don't know, Aaron Joy, Neno doesn't know either, is that at Garriott's store last time, he basically gave them a basket of free to use detect magic components, and they identified most of their stuff. So, Neno wouldn't have known that, and you actually weren't there for that episode. You hadn't come in yet, so just to explain. Okay, so during that first hour, you are able to identify that all of the components in the lockbox are usable. As you round approximately that second hour, we are now actually in our third hour of the watch, because remember, you came to this place about an hour after dark. We're in our third hour. You start hearing a sort of a scraping sound, kind of on the outside of the hut. It is really small. When I say small, I mean whatever's doing it seems to be small, perhaps smaller than mice. Not anything major, and they don't seem to be trying to get in. It has a kind of scurrying and almost brushing sound, and this slightly irritating noise that you've been sensing has been getting more and more present as this happens. I'm happy for you both to... nothing seems to be intruding. Nothing seems to be trying to get in. The snake is not responding. Gulb is not responding. I'm happy for you to respond to the information I just gave you however you like, including just identifying components if you want. Neno, ignoring it, going outside, whatever.
I think particularly if she doesn't need all 4 hours of veil time on the components, that she would keep the veil on, since and see if she can peek out the door and see what's making that noise.
Okay. So, and just to let you know,
There are like 90 components in that lockbox, so
Mhm.
you won't quite finish the lockbox if you just
You get
hunker
20
down.
an hour, and there are 84 components.
It's a huge cache, which is nice.
That is
Okay,
nice.
so you can do
How
60
why
of
20
them.
an hour? I think my mental image of what looking and identifying
It just
magicness.
takes a while to identify what the magic is.
Yeah, you can identify very quickly whether it's magic. This was
That's all I'm trying
just
to do.
yeah. All of them in the
Yeah,
lockbox
you
have
did
magic on
that.
them.
It's all magic.
Yeah, you did that in like a minute. You're like, oh,
In your
I haven't
first
found a
hour of
single one
use,
that's
you
not.
identified them all.
What we usually do when we find magical components we don't know about is kind of like smell them, taste them, and try to interact with them to learn the magical nature of them. And that uses one of them up, but it also teaches us what kind of magic is in there.
And so, and that
That's what we
process,
usually do when we are learning what these are.
right? And when you're doing that without detect magic, you get 1d4 per hour. So not very many. It's a slow process. It can take you an hour to get one component. You're chewing it. You're sensing its magic. You're kind of in the stranger in a strange land way. You're grokking what's in it. It could take 15, 20, 30 minutes, an hour, depending on that 1d4. What the detect magic is giving you is that just by looking at them, so you're not destroying any of them, you're able to get that rate really high. It takes you only a couple of minutes per component to be able to do it. Up to 20 an hour is what you get.
Gotcha.
Rather than like a D20, you just get 20 an hour. So, you're still having to understand what magic in it. It doesn't have like a book, right? You're still having to go, oh, this one's glowing a certain way. It feels this way, but you're able to detect that magically. Okay. So do you want to do 20 of those?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just.
Yoshika's a little concerned about the sound.
Mm-hmm.
He is going to he's going to put the circle of the night watch on his torch and light it, and then be kind of trying to peer through any cracks that might be in the direction of the noises.
Okay. What I would have you do then is, Yoshika, make sure you decrement the number of torches you have, just so that you're using one up. And I will tell you what you see in just a moment. Let me copy over these. Bits here. Sorry, just gotta sort this. I'm going to sort by, what am I sorting by? Column D. Sorry, it just takes 1 sec. Okay. I think that did it. All right, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. These are in the wrong order, so what I'm going to do is just paste them below and then delete the wrong ordered ones. Sorry. So there's your first 20. Yoshika, if you look in the pouch, you'll see them, and I'll give you a number of them in a minute. Yoshika, you look out the window and the doorway. Your torch that previously was giving you like a bright light is still letting you see into the darkness, but similarly to the way light is working, your dark vision is muted as well, and it's like a dim light. What you see is what could only be described as dozens, maybe hundreds of sort of furry looking creatures that are maybe 3 inches tall, and not very big. They're taller than they are wide, and they have long strands of hair sticking up and spindly little legs and arms, and they seem to be running generally, not entirely, but generally westward, although there are many of them that are just going in what look like random directions. There's a flow of them as you look out for several minutes, or a minute or so as you watch them. They just seem to be kind of scrambling everywhere, and if you had to guess, you would say that the sound you're hearing is coming from them. It's not obvious to you what they are.
They don't look humanoid.
No, and they
don't look like a natural beast.
That's right, and they're only about They range from maybe 1 to 6 inches tall. They're little tiny scrabbly creatures. It's hard to see them because they're on the ground in this darkness, but your night vision lets you kind of make out the form. They're running all around, and you could go out and like step on some and grab some or something, but there you are.
Yoshka, what happens if you stick your torch among them? Are they light averse?
I don't know. I want to find out. If they're looking to pass, I'll stay here and they can do that.
Okay.
You're thinking it's a flow like some kind of spirit rodent rushing past in a stream?
Don't know what this is. I guess I'll spend some time, if I can get a good peephole,
Yeah.
just looking at them and trying to learn about them,
Matthew,
understand them better.
Matthew, the player, is interested in knowing: are they running downstream or upstream, and or perpendicular to the rivers, or are they running in the same direction we are, or in the opposite direction that we're going?
So from the description I just gave Jared, Yoshka, he would know that since they're running generally westward, it is downstream. However, that's the overall flow. It would be wrong to say that they're all doing that. It's more of a chaotic motion with a tendency to the west. They're not seeming to be running from something exactly. They're just kind of being crazy. But it's generally flowing westward. The door of this house is on the west side because of the way you've been traveling. The road is to your west. The door is to the west. So what's happening is you're seeing them flow around the door, and there's a gap, but they're also in that gap because they're just going in random directions, maybe bumping into each other, or you can't really tell. But it is generally flowing, quote, downstream, away from the headwaters. Yoshka, I'll let you continue to look at that, but let me, Neno. So you've identified. I put the first 20 of them in. In this hour, you're going to be spending your time doing that. Yoshka, do you want to? You can't see more by just looking.
Okay.
You've seen what you can see. If you'd like to interact with them further, you don't feel a threat except for the sort of ominousness of the foreign, the odd.
I'll just leave them be and try to keep in watch.
Okay. Let's do the next hour. So now we are in the last hour of this watch. And Neno, are you going to... basically, things continue as they are. You hear the sound. There is this scrambling. It's very faint. As I said, it's more of a... These creatures are small and not very heavy. You hear a kind of rustling almost, but it's not intruding heavily. Neno, would you like to just identify more?
No, I think Neno is going to take one of her scarves, take a pause but in between the 20 she just did and starting her own bag of components that she doesn't know anything about yet, mostly. She's going to take one of her scarves or skirts or something and try and scoop up one of the munchkins that's in the doorway, just to get a good look at it.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably unwise, but I think that's what she'd do.
Okay, in order to do that, you're going to have to step over
The snake.
the big snake, which is a pretty big snake. It's a 30-foot boa or something. The snake will not harm you. That's not its instruction or anything. It won't mess with you. However, you are going to have to step over and basically take a step out.
Yeah, I'm going to lean my belly on it and spin myself in a circle, so I'm emerging Tookus first.
Okay.
Because you're little and the snake is big.
As she's heading as I see her heading to the door, I'll say, "Let me help you," and I'll give her like a little boost over and put the torch in her hand.
The torch that has a circle of the night watch?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're going to hold on to it too, or you're going to give it to her?
I suppose I'll I'll let her take it out.
Okay.
I'll let go of it and put her down.
I need both
on
my
the
hands
outside
for
of
the. I need both my hands for the thing, so I probably won't
Okay.
take it from you.
It will
Okay.
be pitch black for you, Neno. If that's okay with you, that's okay with me.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw my scarf on the ground and scoop up what I can scoop.
Okay. Roll me an animal handling check
Okay.
with disadvantage in the pitch black.
Okay.
And this is a 50-50. I'm giving you, you've got to roll a 10 or better with disadvantage.
Okay, well, my first one was a 15.
Okay, that'll work. Oh, no, wait, no, we need disadvantage. We need to
No.
My second one was a 17.
Okay, great. Yeah, you managed to grab one. And in your hand, it feels very lightweight. It weighs an ounce or two. It weighs almost nothing, and is mostly mostly thick matted fur or something that you feel. You only had to take a step or two. You're pretty confident that you can just turn around and find the door. What do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
You have only one.
I'm scooping back in. I'm stepping immediately back in with it in my little pouch.
Okay,
And you feel big.
that's right.
You're right. I probably do.
She-Ra. So, Neno, you walk back over. You make it fine past the big snake that's blocking the door, and you get inside. In the room, you are still in very dim light because you're short and the bottom is short. Here's what you see. In your hand, in the dimness, the best you can tell, you're not 100% sure. It's very hard to see still. If you'd like to try to make a brighter light or have Yoshka lift you up or something, you might see more details because you're in the dark part. Well, actually, first, do you want to do that? Or do you want me to just describe in the dim light?
I think I would, before I thought to ask for help, I would migrate in the direction of glowing diamondback.
Uh-huh. Okay, so yeah, he's filling the room with a dim light. It's not brighter there, but looking at it, you can see, a little bit of shadow and such. It is wisps. It seems to be wisps of thick, hairy, sort of root-like on the bottom and grassy sort of hair on the top that is just wiggling in your hands.
I don't think we have an animal. I think we have a living plant.
This sounds like a dryad sea turtle's egg hatch march.
Is that a thing?
No, that's what I said. Sounds like.
Does it? What does it look like with the veil?
I haven't taken the veil off. It's still veiling away.
You'll use it this hour if you do that. We sort of did it in a 1 hour chunk before, so you can use another casting and look at it if you want.
That sounded like a veiled threat.
But wait, I thought she said during the hour she was investigating, she took a break, and she's already looking at it with her veil still on.
I gave her 20 components, which is a full hour of use.
Oh, yeah.
Mechanically, I can only do
That's right.
Okay.
a certain granularity.
Yeah, I'm willing to take the first 3 or 4 minutes of the hour that I was going to spend on my own component pouch with the veil, wearing the veil, looking at this planty creature.
Yeah, it has the sort of dark aura that you're used to, not dark in an evil sense, dark in a mist sense, of a magical creature. And, it has magic in it. And looks like sort of grassy, hairy, rooty stuff wiggling around.
Yoshka, if there's one thing I know, it's babies. I think what we have here is a baby forest.
So, do you want to do more on the lockbox?
No, I'm switching to my own component pouch.
Okay. So,
And also, Yoshka, now this baby isn't with its friends, and you are a man who could do a good job on a lullaby. Can we try and put this baby to sleep?
I don't know if it understands us. Let me see what we can do here.
I once watched
can you-
that man shame
can
an
you-
elk to death from 100 yards.
The frog.
Anyone can do it, he can.
The frog.
Can you speak with animals?
Plants?
I
Try
think I
to
might
speak with
actually
it.
be able to.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
from
you
the
can speak with
forest.
small animals. Try and talk to it. I mean, it probably
I
won't work
do
on
have-
plants.
I do have speak with animals.
But you have a gnome ability as well that lets
I
you
have-
speak with small animals, which is different from a spell,
Just naturally.
just naturally.
Okay.
You should see if the DM will let you talk
You
to
can
it.
communicate simple ideas with smaller beasts. Yep.
The DM will invariably let you talk with anything.
All
He's
right.
being clever and has occluded the phrase, but we'll see what talks back.
Sure. No, what do you want to do?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna talk to it. I'm stroking the fur on the top / grass. Hey, sweet little one. Hey, sweet little one. Everything's okay. Who are you, Tiny? Who are you?
And while
Go ahead.
first I'll just listen. Is it making a noise?
It
ask her.
wiggles. It wiggles and wriggles in your fingers. Not exactly struggling to get free or anything. It's just wiggling and wriggling around. And are you holding it, like grasping it, or are you holding it in your hand to stand there?
Like this. Just
I need more words.
I'm holding it up, cupping it near my face so I can murmur to it while petting the top of it.
It, in its wriggling and raggling around, it sprints off of your hand into the darkness on the floor, running around and scampering in the dark. It not seeming to do anything different than it was doing the entire time. It is now scampering around between everybody, running around, and to the best of your ability to tell, maybe contributing to the noise you're hearing. Okay, so this is going to be the end of this bit right now. We're going to go into the next watch. Neno, I let you use the veil for the rest of your veilery. So is that what you want to do for the rest of that time? Or do you want to try to catch it and you're going to have to scramble around after it?
Nah, I'm content with it running away when it didn't respond to me. Yeah, I probably don't have a full hour's worth of time left on my own pouch, so let me know how many of those I got to cull away.
Sure. Let me look at yours real quickly. I have your pouch here. To me, it looks like your pouch is completely identified. I just pulled your pouch up. I don't see any components that have no spells.
Oh, okay. I didn't identify them. That happened without me. That's awesome. Okay, then I would have spent the time on the shared
Great.
pouch.
That was because that's the component pouch you started with, and you knew all the things in it just by story. Okay,
Thanks.
great. Yep. And so you're going to spend you're going to spend time on the components, the group component pouch, which is no problem. Give me 1 second, and I will have those here for you. We're going to go green-mouthed gorilla, which is right here. And down to copy those. Boop. You've got some of those some more identified. Okay. Next watch is let me roll for an encounter. No, y'all were paying close attention. Oh, actually, I don't have to roll disadvantage. You didn't get that anyway. So you don't have another one. The next watch starts. The other guys are sleeping. There is this creature scampering around, not seeming to do anything aside from just bumping into stuff. Looks like maybe a child's toy or a young enough child. What do you want to do for this next hour?
I'm going to put a little piece of food on the floor towards it, and then keep watch, and every once in a while I'll see if if it's interested in the food.
Okay, and are you listening out?
Yeah, I'm keeping watch mostly.
And Neno, you want to identify more components?
Yeah.
Okay, you've got another couple of hours worth you can do. Okay, so this one goes. This watch goes by that way. Let me copy these for you really quickly.
This is just an hour going by, right? Not a whole watch.
The whole watch. Oh, I guess you only have one casting.
Right, I
left.
thought Yoshiko was going to watch for the second watch, and Neno was going to sleep.
I was going to be awake for one watch and then sleep for a long sleep.
Oh, okay. Then in that case, I'm sorry. You go to sleep. Go for it. Are you going to wake anybody up to help Yoshiko, or are you just going to go to sleep?
Did anybody volunteer?
No,
I think I
got
would just go to sleep and trust Yoshika to handle that.
Okay, it's Yoshika the snake and Gulb. This next watch passes Yoshika uneventfully. It's basically the same thing. The little guy scampering around. He does not seem, or it does not seem to rest. It also is not seeming aggressive. It's just a little weird. The noise from the outside is relatively consistent, and maybe a little less unsettling since it seems to be generally non-threatening. But I'll leave that to you to how your character would interpret that. So the watch passes. I just rolled for an encounter and you did not get one because you're paying attention, so I had disadvantage. The second watch then comes to an end. What do you want to do for this third watch?
I'm going to wake up Diamondback, because that's who I think said third watch.
Yes.
And say, it's the third watch. We still haven't figured out what all those what all's in that lockbox. Do you think we should wake up Belvari to take a look?
No.
Belvari's already awake.
Belvari slept for 2 watches.
Oh, then I guess I'll say, Belvari, you might do us a favor and figure out what's in the rest of this lockbox. We have some furry little plant friends right now, but big things like to eat little things, you know.
What?
Who knows who will come?
Real quickly. Everybody who's done a long rest, you can pick whether your character wakes up now or not, and do your long rest on D&D Beyond. So Toll, Splint, Belvari, and Diamondback, you have rested well enough for the night. If you'd like to wake up and use the last watch full of darkness to do stuff, that's cool. Between all of you, you can get 16d4 components identified.
Belvari
I've got
would
a
prefer
bunch
to
of...
look outside and watch.
Say that again, Belvari.
Belvari would prefer to look outside and watch, not
Okay.
components.
And Diamondback?
So Diamondback would like to do 2 things with this time. And I have a whole bunch of detect magic components that I can use to help me do the stuff. But the first thing that I want to do is I want to look around this hut. My idea is this. I want to find a board that I can break wrist-sized, orc wrist-sized holes in, right?
Uh-huh.
A sturdy board that
like
I can...
a pillory
whack.
kind of a thing for...
Yeah. Orc wrist-sized holes in.
Okay. I'll let you do that. In this darkness, it'll make some noise, first of all, because you're taking apart part of the hut, and it'll take you the watch to make anything meaningful, but I'm okay with that if you do. There is wood that is...
I don't want to make anything yet. Or, well, sure. Here's what I want to do. I'm going to take this board that's big enough that I could bind Gulb with it when the spell wears off, which I may very well need to do. Bind his hands at least. so that his wrists will be able to fit through the board. And what I want to do now is I want to bash it until his wrists will go through, and I want to keep the pieces. And when the time comes, I'm going to use the mending spell to put the pieces together all around his wrists so that it's like it is now. So I'm going to keep the pieces with me in like my pouch and make up a couple little mending things so that it's all ready, so that if I see this spell wearing off, I can just say, okay, hey, go buddy, give me your wrists, and like put the board around his wrists and put the pieces in place and cast mending so that it all comes together as a solid board again around his wrists.
Wooden stocks, a kind of manacles of wood.
Exactly. But I want a sturdy board, and yet a board that I can break with something that I have on hand.
So the hut is stone, and like I said, 100-ish years old. You have used some branches and stuff to, make it fill up the gaps, but it is not going to be. There's not going to be wood that's like planks from this place. What's that, Belvari?
I don't think I can bash a hole in the stones.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, I still didn't hear Dwight.
I said just make stone manacles.
Oh, yeah, except bashing the hole in the stone's hard. I would let you sit there and try to chip holes into them, but it would be like carving. Okay. And
sorry,
I also, by the way,
I was imagining the hut wrong.
Yeah, I also don't mind. What you did sounds great. It's a terrific creative use. It's just that the planks wouldn't have survived 100 years.
So what I want to do in that case is, I guess we don't have good seasoned wood around, and all I've got is sticks and stuff, and I'm not good at building things.
You have rope.
I do have rope, yeah. So I guess what I'm going to do is hunt around outside, staying very close by, but hunt around outside for a large, like orc-sized stick.
Okay.
Like imagine like a pretty big branch that it will be heavy for him to carry and very hard for even a very strong orc to break, that I can use lots and lots of rope to bind Gulb to.
Like a yoke.
Like a crucifix.
Sounds good. Okay. And he's very strong, so you try to find a big branch. You could probably order him to break one off of a tree even. Splint, what do you want to do?
Splint is going to... He's awake, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I assume so.
And Toll, I'm going to ask you next what you want to do.
Splint is going to start making breakfast. He's a bit groggy,
Sounds good. Patrick, what do you want to do? It's dark.
Yeah.
4 more hours of darkness before you can leave. Or, well, you could leave, but before daytime.
Yeah, Toll will get up. He doesn't know about the whole component thing, so if somebody wants to enlighten him, he'll happily help. Otherwise, he doesn't really have anything to busy himself with.
Sorry, real quickly. This is part of common knowledge. Toll would have a general understanding of how components work, though he may not know about their shared pouch, but he would get the mechanics of the components, and he himself has a component pouch, his own component pouch, that he stole from his captor, just to remind you and the audience who might be listening.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Then he'll get to doing that. I didn't realize that he knew that.
Okay, sounds good.
That he was contributing to the group's knowledge that way. But yeah, he'll busy himself with that.
Do you want to do it to the Orc Lockbox common pouch?
Yeah, I guess that would be better than doing mine.
Okay, and some of yours you already know. The ones that were yours, the ones that were happen to be mixed in from other, you don't. Roll me 4d4, and that will be how many you get during this watch. How many you identify.
That is a 12.
Okay, let's see.
Very average roll.
And Quiet Flower Lemon Tree. Sorry, one sec. Okay, I just added those 12 identified now into the things. Fun fact, just for those of you listening, one of them, the sap of the rat flower chokeberry tree, has a spell that we haven't talked about before, which is Giant Insect.
Oh boy, I wonder what that does.
Yeah. Okay.
What level is it?
So now there's something that happened all night while you were asleep. So I'm gonna do a little retcon here, and not retcon, but I'm gonna do a little narrative kind of magic. Everyone who slept this whole time has had a dream. Okay.
Thanks
So
for rubbing it in.
Let's describe that. What I want you to do, everybody have a D20 ready. Gulb, Josh, if you'll go ahead and go into the DM chat.
Will do.
Gulb's soul is elsewhere.
All right. Here is what happens. You slide into your sleep in the way that you are accustomed to doing, and you find yourself having a quiet night it's not fitful at all. Lately, you've been sleeping fairly well. Not a lot of worry once you fall asleep. You find yourself you don't awaken, but you find yourself in a kind of twilight time in the forest. It's a part of the forest that you recognize well. Sorry, you don't. It's not a part of the forest that you recognize the place you're in. It is a location that looks normal. It's just the forest at twilight. As you walk, you find a clearing that's unusually large. It's got to be a good, gosh, it's much larger than 20, 30 feet. It's a big clearing. And the ground is kind of packed down around you. Looking up in this twilight, before you look up, you see fireflies. It's the normal time of day, and in the dream, it's the normal time of year for fireflies to be lifting up off of the ground. You don't see anything strange, but it has an overall peaceful feeling here. There's no sounds of anything dangerous, and it has a pastoral sort of feel. Everybody roll me your D20, and if you get less than a 6, so 6 or higher stays, less than a 6, go to the DM chat.
How about a natural 20?
This is just a regular D20. This is not a test of any of our
Just a D20.
personal powers or skills.
That's correct.
Joel got himself a 19.
Okay.
Splink got an 11.
Aaron Joy got a 2, so she fled from our presence.
I got a 10.
Good. And everybody here got higher than a 6. A 6 or higher, I should say.
Yep.
So the fireflies are lifting up as normal. It's a pleasant evening. It's neither cool nor warm. It's just a great evening for you. The twilight is diminishing, but unexpectedly, you don't feel afraid of being in the woods at night. You think you've got a little bit of time left, but this clearing is so large, it occurs to you... Sorry, we just lost somebody. We lost Yoshka. This clearing is so large that it occurs to you that you want to see the canopy above. So you look up, and this happens sometimes. You've seen this before, but the canopy of the trees above you, these, a mixture of oak and fir and other kinds of trees, is open above you. And it's uncommon, but it happens sometimes that you can see a hole in the canopy. What you do see that is a little bit uncommon, however, is there are fireflies at the top of the canopy rising up as though almost it were its own firmament above you. It's a good 80, 90 feet, but fireflies up there in a clearing in the canopy that almost mirrors the clearing that you're in. A little bit smaller, but it's there. And it looks, again, peaceful and pastoral. Roll me a d20, and if you get an 8 or better, you can stay.
Barely.
I got a 6.
Toodles.
Yep, tied out of 3. He's out.
13.
Good.
9.
Pat, you got a... Okay, oops. So we should have only Belvari. Great, that's who we have. Okay, Belvari and Splint.
Nice.
Looking up further, to your surprise a bit, you can see, even in the dimming light, the great canopy high above that. At this point, it's so high, it's thousands of feet up. It has its normal, just shimmering shades of green. You can't see any details about it, although you see something you've never heard of before. The great canopy itself seems to have a clearing in it. And far beyond that, somehow in the dream, it fades into the darkness. It's so far away, it must just be mist, but there is only blackness beyond the canopy. However, way high ahead, even though you can't make them out clearly, fireflies shimmer even above the great canopy. It's almost as though it is its own firmament, and there is a clearing high above. Roll me another d20, and if you get a 10 or better, you can stay.
Oh.
Ooh,
6.
10.
Wow. Good for you. All right.
So Jacob, head to the DM chat.
Yeah. 1 second.
You look at it for a moment. It's so strange for the fireflies to be so high and also to be able to see them. They're so far away, they don't seem to be moving much. They're just shimmering. One of them in particular, however, seems to have grown like almost a tendril out of it, maybe a tail of some kind, and is very slowly, if at all, moving around this canopy, this opening in the canopy. Your attention comes back down in front of you, and to your surprise, where previously there was nothing, you see a shimmering form, a shape, a symbol that you don't quite know where you've seen it, but it looks familiar to you. This symbol is a glowing kind of bluish white with flickering yellows and oranges in it, and it is ephemeral, hovering in front of you in this clearing, and it gives you a sense of peace, though you don't know what it means.
Okay.
One thing that you do notice, Belvari, is that you've seen this symbol recently. If only you could remember where. Roll me a d20 again.
Ooh, another natural 20.
You do remember where. It's on the reverse side of the strange coin, the sort of trinket that you found, to your surprise, in your component pouch a few days ago. The same symbol,
Gotcha.
a version of it. Maybe not exactly the same, but it's clearly, made to be the same with embellishments or something is there. Roll me a d20, and if you get a 12 or better, you stay.
One.
A 1?
Yeah.
You let me bring everybody back in.
Cool.
Was dramatically different than Sir's. It took me a really long time to catch up to what he was telling me.
You can come back in, everybody.
Okay.
Was that just like a dream location, or did I recognize?
You realize that in the dream, and you remember it when you awaken.
I mean, the location of the dream, was it some sort of a generic place in the woods, or did I recognize?
No, not the location, just the thing that the location was nondescript. Sorry, go ahead, ask me.
Gotcha. No, you answered it. I got it.
The location is just nondescript. So, having
Yeah.
had that experience in the dream, you awaken and you find yourself refreshed. It's going to be a good day.
Nice.
Inexplicably, you find yourself in a good mood. Okay. It has been 3 watches.
Can I just say, having had a mood for the first time in his life, Belvari realized himself.
Nobody has many moods. Mostly
So-
y'all are being loud as his main mood.
Your inner clock gives you a sense, each of you, your inner clock gives you a sense that it's going to be morning anytime now, so you can make ready to leave. Splint has made food enough for all. You should decrement your rations by 7, whoever's eating.
I double
6?
decremented last night
Okay.
to account for breakfast, dinner, and breakfast.
Sounds great. So
Yep.
Splint has done a good job making some morning grub for you, and the
Jerky.
sorry, Bovari.
Cooked jerky.
That's right. And you are ready with packs for it to be light outside. Does anybody want to do anything right before the morning starts?
I'm still sleeping.
Okay. Any of y'all want to wake up Yoshika right now, or to get him ready, or do you want to just wait till you're actually ready to leave, and wake him up and say, "Let's go"?
Belvari goes over to Yoshika and he gives him a nice kick, but like a jovial kick.
What are you waking me up for? We're gonna be stuck here, aren't we?
It's time to go.
We can't go in the long night.
The long night is not yet here. We must go as fast as possible.
Okay, I get up.
And you have 6 to 8, say, just based on your previous experience, 6 to 8 hours on the road. Road travel is nice and quick. If it's uneventful, you have 6 to 8 hours to Miradao.
We must go to Miradao as fast as possible.
Do y'all
Let
want?
me ask real quick. Where will I find those rations?
Oh, they are in the party pouch, the party shared pouch, I think.
Well, the rations that we used just now were in Gald's character sheet.
Okay.
But you may or may not have rations in your character sheet inventory.
I
And-
don't.
Toll, as a slave, you have basically nothing except the components that you just stole, and
Right.
they gave you some kind of, I can't remember what, it was a dagger or something.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
at Miradao, if you are able to make it there and still breathe, there will be opportunity for equipping, but you just don't have that right now.
So were the rations in the party pouch decremented for me, or do I need to go do that?
No, they were done for you.
It was all shared.
Awesome. Sweet.
So yeah, it's a little before dawnish, or you're waiting for it. Your inner clocks are telling you it's about time. Do you want to head out now? Diamondback seems like he's in a hurry, or do you want to wait for it to actually get light? And Neno, you were going to say something?
Yeah, did we have trouble breathing while we were asleep? I ask because the fog is gonna get over my head pretty soon if it's not already.
Yeah.
And if it's a breathing problem, then I'm gonna need lifted.
No, you don't. And
Okay.
also, it is not. You know this already. It's not a physical fog.
But it's magical.
It is
Maybe
magical.
makes
That's
us not
true.
breathe.
It doesn't cause you physical difficulty, and it also, as you already know, passes through buildings and stone. It kind of wafts through anything without being blocked by physical matter, including your own self.
Okay.
It has its own flow that seems to be not related to the topography or anything like that.
Matter. Okay.
So no breathing difficulty. So what do you want to do?
Toll is ready to go.
Double
I
time,
give
baby.
this, I give this big branch to Gald for him to carry.
Okay. And you want to head out in the dark?
I think if we can tell which direction is the right way to go. Well, how long is? Yeah, because we don't know how early this night is going to fall.
Let's
And
wait until
regular night is less dangerous than this evil night that's coming. So I think we'd rather Diamondback, if we're discussing it, would rather risk the end of a regular night than the beginning of the deep night or terrible night.
Doesn't it seem to you like the terrible night has begun? Maybe it just seems that way to me because the smoke is already about as high as my face.
I feel like
We were
tomorrow's gonna be
warned.
a good day.
He does.
We were warned
Okay.
by Garriott that sometime today the night would fall in earnest, and like it would the smoke. What Diamondback understood of it was that the smoke, the fog would be so thick that it would be like night for everybody. So there might not be another daytime for a few 60 hours or something.
Well, I guess Nena is willing to try and sprint, but it seems to her like we are in about as safe a place as we can hope to be for an unknown night, for an unknown amount of time.
I don't know it's going to be. I don't know it's going to be morning again. I'm expecting the long night already started.
And just to give you guys, actually, go ahead, discuss. I'll give you a. No, wait, I won't give you a reminder. Go ahead.
Am I counting the days wrong?
Garriott didn't know how long.
The time frame, as I understood it, was that true night would fall sometime on this day.
He said 3 to 7 days.
Everybody, roll me. Just I need a check from each of you. Let me see which one is the appropriate check here. Why don't you roll me a history check with advantage because it's recent history. I think that's the best, most sensible thing to do here.
$23.
17.
17, 15, 23. Anybody
12.
else? 12. Yoshka?
12.
12.
20.
20. Splint, you weren't there. I just realized Splint and Toll, you weren't there. So Diamondback, go in, if you will, go into the DM chat.
Hello, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I don't feel like you can see me. My camera doesn't seem to have come on.
Yeah,
but
I can't
it doesn't
see
matter.
you, but whatever. Hey, so Yoshka's right about some of the details that you don't remember clearly, but there's one thing you do remember clearly. Diamondback, you had a 23 on this roll. Garriott was really clear that you do not want to be in an undefended town. Just for our listening audience, we're in a room right now, a private room, so none of the other players can hear what I'm telling Matt. So this is you being privy to the inner workings of Diamondback's mind. Diamondback, you have a really clear memory that Garriott said, you don't want to be in the slave pen, you don't want to be in a hostile town, you certainly don't want to be in the open, and the only safe, there's not a safe place, but the safest place would be in a well-defended town.
Yeah.
So,
we need to be in Mirrodale with its fence.
That's probably what I would guess Diamondback, how he interprets that. You don't know of another town, and you are in a 100-year-old ruin that you don't feel is super secure, and you may be in it for several days with a zombie orc.
Yeah.
So let's go back.
Yep.
Diamondback joined us.
And for our listening audience and for you players here, we had a peek into the inner workings of Diamondback's psyche for a moment. So did the listening audience. However,
Showtime.
we will not see the results of that until after our 10-minute break. It is 8:55. I'm trying to stay nice and on the clock to be considerate to everybody. So why don't we take our 10-minute break now? We will be back at 9:05 with the further adventures of our party. This is The Dying of the Light, Season 3 of the Starfall Collective. The Starfall Collective is a collaborative storytelling group using the Dungeons & Dragons game system as a vehicle for creating rich and compelling stories in a fictional world that we've been developing together for a while. You can find out more about the collective, as well as the stories we're telling, at thestarfallcollective.com. We're back with a new episode. Let's find out who's in this episode. As usual, I am Sir Robert Burbridge, a father and entrepreneur, and the host of this season's story. With me tonight are a few friends playing the characters in this drama. Remember, having made the story, I know what the plot is, but I don't know what the characters will do, and they know what they will do, but they do not know what the plot is. And therein lies the fun.
I don't know what I'm going to do.
Some of them don't know what they're going to do. I have just been informed. Breaking news. So let's go ahead and just say your name, something about yourself, if you like, the character that you're playing, and we will get into it quickly. Let's go in order. We're going to go Matt, Josh, and Aaron Joy first. Matt?
Hello, my name is Matthew Talamini. I'm a writer and web developer based in Providence, Rhode Island, and you can find my stuff at MatthewTalamini.com. That's Matthew, TALAMINI.com. I'm playing the shirtless necromancer, Diamondback.
I am Josh Suich. I am a software engineer and among other things that I have to keep secret. But unlike Dwight, all of my secrets are secret even to me. So I will be playing what's left of Zulb for what is left of the night. Sorry, I was talking to the microphone, but
You're muted.
I'm muted?
Aaron Joy. No, I am. I'm Aaron Joy. I'm playing Neno. I am a forest gnome who is surprisingly grandmotherly for not having any grandchildren.
And let's do Pat, then Dwight, Jacob, and Jared. Pat?
Yeah, my name is Patrick. I am playing the character Toll, who is a half-orc, and I am happy that it's football season.
See, guys, we're getting diverse. We have a jock with us.
Yeah, everyone who knows me knows that's me.
I'm Belvari, and I think I'm human. I don't know.
Yeah, you're a human druid.
Human druid. And that is deeply ingrained in my characterization that I'm spinning out of my mind.
Jacob?
Hey, I am Jacob Burbridge, and I will be playing the humanoid person that is commonly known as Splint.
All right, and Jared?
As Sir Robert already spoiled, I am Jared playing Yoshka, the Bard.
All right. Let's get into the action. So, in our last episode, the players have had a strange experience. They slept through the night. It was a normal and peaceful night, notwithstanding some oddities. They had a dream. They each had their own dream with different layers of depth. And also, they found strange creatures outside running around. It is right before dawn, their internal clocks tell them. And I guess it's right before morning, their internal clocks tell them. The sound has not abated. It is still out there, may even have increased a little bit. There is the scurrying, and also running around near their feet, scampering, is this weird little thing that they have not yet discussed, but they may have all already been disgusted. So, as they get up this morning, they're ready to go. One of the things that the astute among you may have noticed, I will leave it up to your interpretation of your character whether you did notice this or not. The dim light that Diamondback cast from his sleeping position, you remember from the previous night, he stands up and it continues to be a dim light.
Should it have changed?
It continues to be a dim light, though he stands.
And the event that we're waiting for is the true night.
But the mist still appears.
The false night. Sorry, go ahead,
False
Pat.
the mist still appears to only be like, what was it, like knee high at this point, or
So the mist is that's a great point. You know what? Let me take one step back here. The mist fades into pitch black. Where you are right now, the fade has kind of stretched, and Nano, you are in the darkness if you are still on the floor. It's over your head, at least, or alternately, it's dark in here and there's not much light. It's unclear about the nighttime. Those of you who are standing up, it is the room is illuminated, but only with a dim light that Diamondback is casting. Again, Neno, you have a darker time of it. You're waist height for these other guys, but and also Orden is there with you in this gloom. But those of you who are taller, you see the room illuminated by dim light, rather than what you might expect from Diamondback's shoulders ablaze, a brighter light. You have not been outside. And Diamondback, also don't forget to, if you want to, take your snake with you.
Yes, of course. So Diamondback calls back the giant python, which shrinks quickly and turns into a wooden staff, which he picks up. He approaches Yoshka, who has just been giving him some crap about staying here for the night. And he says to Yoshka, Yoshka, can I talk to you for a minute?
Yes?
It's very important. Tell me, what did you think of Garriott?
He was very trustworthy and very intelligent.
How would you rate his wisdom and knowledge?
Perhaps one of the wisest I know.
Let me tell you something, which I may not have told you before, or I may have told part, but not all. Do you remember when I was almost killed by a horse? I harvested a tooth from the horse. You remember that tooth and the spell that it would form part of?
Quick historical correction, though you may be okay for Diamondback to have said that, it was not the same horse. The tooth that you got from this horse was the desiccated corpse from the spider that killed, from the spider sack.
The horse, the tooth I gave you?
Yeah.
So let's undo that last part. Diamondback would remember the difference between these two horses. There was a horse tooth that had was a component of a powerful spell. And you remember that spell.
Yes, I made a song for you about it.
Yes, well, Garriott took me into his secret wizard's lair. And in there I saw 7 of the 10 components that one would need to cast that spell. He's the mightiest wizard.
On the table?
Locked in boxes. In his secret room, where he showed me alone.
The one we went in?
No, not you. Only me.
What? When you went to the wall?
I tell you this. Yes, I tell you this so that you will understand the depth of his knowledge and power. Now, when he told us, under no circumstances to remain outside of town during the false night, that's a very serious thing. I am firmly convinced that any who do not come with me now will be dead. And I won't be there to bring you back.
Did he tell this to you?
He showed it to me. The teeth, the spell components.
It's just that if the sun doesn't rise, then it's already begun. Then we're deep in the dark night. The long night.
I don't know about the sun.
Y'all don't know what the sun is, but if the forest doesn't become light.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'll say, if I stay here with you, all of us will definitely die. But if I
Okay.
go, perhaps I may live. Further, our friend Gull, my magic is not sufficient to bring him back, but I hope that there may be a chance that Garriot's will be. But these things, I don't know if you know much of the necromantic arts, but there's often a strict time limit beyond which a soul is unrecoverable. I'm pressed and we must hurry.
Okay. I will go with you.
Neno is grasping Orden's hand and has been sidling towards you, eavesdropping as hard as she can. And over the course of the late night / morning has concluded that even though she is petrified, because it feels like night to her, everything is black as can be, she's willing to like use some of her scarves and tie her wrist to yours and just be drug along after you, because priority one is get this 13, 14, 12, however old Orden is, home.
Neno and Orden, you sit on Gulp's shoulders, and I lift them up and put them on Zombie Gulp's shoulders. He's got so much carrying capacity. Another thing that I want to do before we set off is I want to take Gulp's armor off of him and put it in his pack or tie it to him.
Okay. So
if he goes, if my spell fails its control of him, we don't want him in that very powerful armor.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Also, just to give you guys who are part of the party familiar, if you want to tell Splint or Toll anything, now might be a good time. Feel free not to. But if you think there's some knowledge that the rest of you have among yourselves that they might benefit from, go for it. If not, that's okay with me.
I definitely think that Yoshka should tell them the whole story of the whole mission and how we found how we came to Garriot's town. But I would like to do it while we walk.
Sounds good. So it sounds like you have decided to head out, even though it is not yet light, and some of you are suspicious that the light may not be coming. You are inside, as I said, you're inside your hut, basically the stone hut, and you can peer out the door. Here's what you see looking out the door. It is somewhat light. There is light above you, you can tell. It's almost as though you are in a deep pool of water and can see light high above, but where you are, it is very dim. As a matter of fact, your feet, even with Diamondback's light or a torch, your feet are completely obscured. Just your feet, like up to your ankles. For Neno, maybe up to your calf or something like that, if you were on the ground. Your feet is completely obscured. You cannot see the ground. Unless there's a part where it's like, a little hill or something. It kind of sticks up. But you, generally speaking, can't see exactly where you're walking. Up to maybe 5 to 8 feet above your heads is still very dim, but you can see around you just from the normal light that's ambient in the forest now that you guess must be daytime. And far above that, you can tell that there is some brighter light, though it's hard to gauge distance at this point. As you peek out the door, you see more of these little scurrying things, and also the character of them seems maybe to have changed a bit. There are a greater variety in the sizes. Some of them much taller. When I say much taller, I mean instead of up to 6 inches, maybe you're up to a foot or a foot and a half of some kinds of creatures. They are not all the same, but they do appear to be similar. If you'd like to investigate as you go, I'm happy for that. But otherwise,
yeah.
What do you want to do?
I Diamondback hasn't seen these yet.
There's one running around in the hut.
Yeah. Well, I don't care about that one. I want to get going. but as we go, I want to scoop one up and examine it.
Cool.
Yeah, Toll's really interested as well.
Okay, let's get on our way. I'm just going to narrate some action here to have us move, but I want you to stop me if you want to take an action or do something.
I'll use the Circle of the Night Watch to I'll just try it and see if I can see farther with that.
Okay, decrement your torch. It's going to cost you a torch, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to last twice as long, so it's going to last 2 hours, right? If you have the Night Watch circle on it. When you do that, Yoshka, you find that you can see better. It is normally at nighttime you would see the dark vision that you would have, that you know this now from using it, would give you about 20 feet out. You would have bright light. It would be as though you were in bright light, but black and white. And about another 20 feet out, dim light. And then past that's darkness. It seems to have reduced by a level. So for about 20 feet out, you can see as in dim light, brighter than just what these other guys are seeing. And past that, you can't really see past 20 feet. But one of the things that it does give you as an advantage is you can see the ground where you're walking with your dark vision from the Circle of the Night Watch. Remember that up to 3 others can hold the torch with you. Also, just physically, that will slow you down because 4 people holding 1 torch is hard to walk fast.
Yoshka, does that help you to see better?
A bit. We could walk side by side.
Good. Diamondback hands him 7 torches from his own inventory. I don't need torches anymore.
That's right. And Diamondback, you see not as well as Yoshka at this point. You've got a dim light for about half as far, so about 10 feet out. Right. But that does include your feet.
Nice.
And everybody else can see about 10 feet from Diamondback.
Question, Sir Robert. If I cast a spell that creates some sort of entity, like the spell Arcane Eye, and that eye has dark vision, that dark vision is applied, right?
Let me think here.
It doesn't have this dark vision.
So that's a good question. Natural dark vision does not work here. Arcane
The reason
Eye,
it doesn't work is because it's foggy. It's not like you're not able to see in the dark. It's like you're not able to see because there's opaque fog in the way.
in particular, because there's a magical fog that's obscuring that effect. But yes, in this case, Arcane Eye, that's a great question. Let me look at the description real quickly. Give me 1 sec, because it depends on how it describes it. I will read this to you all. I mean, the part I'll let you hear my consideration, deliberation, so we can see. You create an invisible magical eye within range that hovers in the air for the duration. You mentally receive visual information from the eye, which has normal vision and dark vision out to 30 feet. The eye can look in every direction. I interpret that to mean that the eye you create is magical, but its vision is not. It's part of the nature of the thing. It's a kind of eye that has rods, cones, and whatever dark vision-y things happen in this world. So in that case, no, it would not be able to see with dark vision unless you cast the spell dark vision on it.
That was worth a shot.
Yeah. That was good. Yeah. If it had said something like it has true sight or some kind of magical effect like that, I would have said, yeah, that'll work.
Gotcha.
Or if it had said it has the spell dark vision. Okay. So how do y'all want to walk? You're only about 60 feet from the road. You remember where it is, and it's light enough, especially with the light from Diamondback going 10 feet out, and there's like this shimmery light around you that's ambient, that you can tell where the road is. You can't see the road per se, but you can see where the trees break and the road, they're on either side of the road. So tell me what your walking orders are.
I'll go first since I have the torch. I suppose Diamondback and I, if there's room, we could both go first.
Yeah.
I'll go last.
Okay.
I want Yoshika to go first. Diamondback likes to hide behind people, but then Diamondback has Zolb probably on some kind of leash. and then Neno and the child are on Gulb's shoulders.
So
And
it's
then,
probably Yoshka, Diamondback, Gulb with Neno and Orden after them, and Belvari is last. So maybe Splint and Toll next to each other, or right next, one or the other. Does that
Sure.
sound good?
Yeah, Toll isn't picky about his position.
Okay.
Neither is Splint, really.
Sounds good. And you two are, Splint and Toll at this point are the least equipped, just because you were slaves and don't have stuff. So it makes sense for you to be somewhere in the middle. And Belvari is bringing up the rear. So you walk and, give me 1 second, I'm getting a couple of dice. There we go. Yeah, you start out. It's ominous. You definitely have a mood of concern and trepidation for what's happening here. There's some of you, especially Neno, you may have seen something like this before. However, everybody is in a town. You would never have gone out at night, hardly, unless there was some dire emergency. To be out in a night and in this kind of like prolonged night, you may have a recollection of that, Neno, from some years ago. You may have experienced it one or two times from within the safety of your town, relative safety. But none of you is going to be feeling, happy-go-lucky right now. Maybe Gulb. So
Again, I would have to feel.
Zombie.
That's right. So you walk, and you know that, as I said, it's about a 6 or 8 hour walk. You tell me, are you going to slow your pace at all for being unable to see the ground, or you're going to try to keep a quick pace and trust the ground that you've trodden before?
The road. So
It's road, and it's pretty flat. I mean, it's like a cart road. There's some potholes type stuff, but it's not anything you haven't walked on.
yeah,
Are we stumping the creatures, or are they getting out of our way?
Yeah, you can't see really well. Like I said, the bottom 6 inches or so. The creatures have gotten fairly dense. They are still going in every direction. They're running, scampering over your feet, and sometimes you're kicking them with your steps. Think of an
I'm
Australian
sure
cane
Gulb is
toad.
crushing many of them.
Yeah, you certainly are stepping on some, brushing some. They're running against you. They don't seem to do any kind of climbing or anything. They're just running sort of chaotically. The road you're on is traveling north-south. You're going southward on it, and all the general movement of these creatures is downstream, which is to say westward. They don't seem to respond negatively when you step on them. You stop stepping on them, and they're running around. Maybe the one you stepped on is dead. You can't tell. It's just, it's in the dark part.
What I would like to do, I think we should continue at the fastest pace we can manage and not worry about stepping on the things. I'd like to turn my staff into a flying snake, which is its default form. And I'd like to have it circle us about 200 feet out. And its instructions are, if it sees anything that scares it, it should come right back to me. Zhup! Come right back to me and turn into a staff in my hands.
Roll me a nature check.
Yeah. Here goes. Oh, ouch.
Can I help him?
Can Belvari help me with this nature check?
No. If you asked him before you rolled.
No.
I asked before he rolled.
He did ask before. Oh, whatever. No, this is... Diamondback just goes and does it. He doesn't tell Belvari his plan or anything.
What'd you roll?
I rolled a 2 + 2 is 4.
Okay. Yeah, you send your snake out to circle you, and
And
with the caution that you've done. How far out did you want it to circle? 10 feet, 20 feet, 100 feet?
200 feet. So it says as long the text of the item is as long as you are tuned to the item and it is within 250 feet of you,
Okay.
you know which direction it is in.
So you give it a sense of how far to go from you by saying, that sounds good. No problem with that.
I can't issue commands to it unless it's within 60 feet.
Okay. So it swirls around you, and you can generally feel it. It's not like going super quickly that far out. It's making an orbit around you guys.
Yeah.
Every several minutes and so forth. But it's it's a sentry. Let's roll. So you walk, and you find yourself walking through the first watch. We're going to call it, watches during the day as well, because it's a 4-hour block. And as you're walking, you're hearing this sound still. Now all of you are definitely clearly hearing it. It's present in your consciousness. To the best of your ability to tell, it's probably these creatures that are 6 to now maybe 18 inches tall. The ones that are taller are different than the ones that were shorter. If you would like to investigate them, tell me, or not. As you walk, I mean.
Yeah, Toll will.
Okay. Toll, roll me an animal handling check. Just give me a 50-50, so it's 10 or better.
Nano is also happy to fiddle with one while she's on her.
I got a 7, so no.
So, Toll, as you're walking along, you spend a good 20 minutes just, part of this watch just trying to scramble after one. They're hard to catch, man. They're 18 inches tall. It's dark. They're running sort of chaotically around. You're welcome to try again, in a little bit but you get a little frustrated and just kind of, these guys are so hard to catch. As you're going, all of you are going, I mean, you hear a sound, Diamondback, from ahead of you and generally to the southeast, so a little bit to your, as you're traveling south, a little bit to your left and ahead of you. The snake has been circling, and that's about where it is. On a clock, if you're facing forward at 12 o'clock, it's maybe at 10 o'clock, 10:30. Okay. And you hear it, and suddenly it sort of stops spinning, and you get a sense that it's coming directly towards you. The flying snake is.
I hold up my hand.
You hold out your hand. You catch it with no problem. It takes a good 30 seconds to get to you, but it comes directly to you. Does it turn back into a staff? Is that what you're doing, or does it stay what it is? Okay.
Turns back into a staff, and everybody sees that I've stopped walking.
Okay. Do y'all want to have any response to that?
Gulp bumps into me.
Okay.
They stop walking.
As you are moving, you hear this different sound. It's still kind of chaotic movement, scrambling sorts of sounds, but it's coming from the west, kind of ahead of you a little bit, and from the west, and it's got a more of a, not hoof, but like a heavier sound to it. A bigger thing for sure is landing. It's still scrambling around, almost rat-like. The sound stops ahead of you in the dark. You can see a couple of shapes on the road, and they just stop and freeze, and twitching and turning their heads around. They look over, and they seem to see the light coming from you guys, and they turn towards you and run directly at you. Everybody roll initiative.
Do I get my own separate initiative, or do I go with Diamondback?
You're going to go right after Diamondback. You don't have any you don't have any reaction.
Do we get anything like a surprise round, for instance, for having known that something was up beforehand?
No, but I won't give you any kind of disadvantage for it being so dark. You had forewarning, so you're ready.
Nice. 21.
All right.
Then why did I roll a 3?
Belvari has a 3.
So does Nano.
Okay.
Splint got a 15.
Toll's got a 14.
11.
Toll, you said a 13?
14.
14. And Yoshka?
11.
Okay, I think that gives us everybody.
And I had a non-rounding 20.9 repeat.
Deal. Yeah, you're right after Diamondback each time. So I'm going to roll initiative here for these and start. All right. Diamondback, you, having been readied by your snake and knowing which direction to be looking in, you see these creatures, these forms, I should say. You can't tell exactly what's going on with them, but you do see them have huffing and sort of snarling a little bit, and running directly to you guys from about your best guess in this dim light is they're about maybe 60 feet away.
Oh, I say to Gald, stand in front of me and protect us. And then
He steps up.
whichever one is closest, I'm gonna whip off a quick firebolt at it,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to be, ouch. That's going to be an 8 to hit.
And give me 1 second, and I will tell you. That does not hit. So the firebolt, what you see is you crush these components, and in the darkness, the blackness.
Oh, I'm sorry. I actually can't do firebolt. I pick another cantrip, and that cantrip is with the same range, and it's chill touch.
Chill touch. Okay. It still misses, but
Yeah, still misses.
You feel a crackle of energy, and the air cools just slightly around you as Diamondback uses his magic to create this chilled touch that shoots out from him. It does not illuminate as it goes, so it doesn't give you any insight into what is ahead of you, running towards you. But
Well,
whoops, Belvari, did you say something?
it's just interesting. Chill touch doesn't actually make things cold. I guess sort of the chill of the grave.
Yeah.
You felt
It's
it in your
actually
souls.
like a ghostly skeletal hand comes up from the ground near them and tries to grab them, but misses.
Okay. Next is going to be Gulb, and then Splint. Get your action ready.
Okay, so
Toll will be
Gulb is going to move forward in a straight line until he gets to the closest thing that he can attack that is not a human being.
Okay.
Do you still have riders on your shoulder? Or is
You do. You still have Neno and Orden on your back/shoulders.
Yeah, Diamondback didn't really tell me anything
So
about
roll
that.
an attack.
Yeah.
I didn't think I told him to attack either, but maybe I didn't phrase the command very well.
Told us to. I'm
You
just
said
telling
protect
you what.
and that's how Zombie Gulb interpreted it. Apparently, what do you?
That's fair.
What do you do? Roll an attack.
I roll a failing roll. I roll a 1.
Okay.
To
And roll me
attack.
another d20 just to remind our listeners and you players. The second d20 tells the severity. If he rolls a 20, it'll fail forward, and if he rolls a 1, it will fail very much backwards. He rolled a 10, right in the middle. Gulb, you walk forward and you severely miss, but you don't manage to do any damage to you, Neno, or Orden. This creature in front of you is unaffected by your presence there. I mean, by your attack, but you are now face to face with one of them. This creature that you're face to face with, actually, let's see here. It is going to make an attack against you. It sees you attacking it, and it reaches out to try to hit you. It rolls a 10. Oh no, I'm sorry,
Yep.
a 14. Does that hit?
That hits.
All right. And what is happening? My dice, D&D Beyond.
Does he have the special zombie properties?
I don't know. What are the special zombie properties? I'm sorry, I don't know what that means.
There's a
Undead
special
fortitude.
Yeah, there's an undead fortitude that you may decide to allow him to have.
Okay. I see what that is. If damage reduces it to 0, makes a con saving throw. Unless the damage is radiant form or a critical hit. On a success, it drops to 1 instead. Okay. Yeah, I am totally cool with that. That makes good sense for what's happening here. It does 4 damage to you, Gulb.
All right.
And I have to figure out why my dice are looking like frozen things. You know what? I'm going to ignore it.
Sorry, go ahead.
That creature swipes at you and hits you for 4 damage. What you feel, if you even notice at all, and Neno and Orden, This creature that you can see its form better now has long claws out of what look like fingery tendrils, and it just, in sheer reaction, just scratches back out at Gulb. It doesn't seem to be particularly strategic. It just reacts to him with this scratch, doing a bit of damage.
Now that the thing is close enough, what does it look like?
It's not close to you. Gulb went forward to it.
And
I'll never tell.
The next,
But I can see.
How far is it?
It's about 30 feet from you guys back there now. Neno, you can see it's in the dimness. It's a shadowy form. It is not very tall, probably about 2.5 feet tall, but a heftier creature than these little grassy, leafy creatures. You can't tell what it is, and you don't have any kind of light source that you're carrying, so it's not being illuminated. One of them, standing right there next to you, also goes for Gulb's leg and goes for a quick bite attack. Does an 8 hit you?
Yep.
An 8
sure does.
All right.
What's your AC?
It hits you for 11 damage.
Wow. It's very bad because my master took away all of my protection lest I become a danger to him.
So does that tell me, Gulb, where does that put you? How do I consider that? Does it?
I am more than halfway beat up.
Okay.
You Diamondback's monster.
Yeah, I am now officially twice as tough as I was in life. My hit points have doubled from 11 to 22.
Okay. And sorry, real quickly, I'm going to ask you, can you tell me how to make my dice not icy on D&D Beyond?
I am looking at that and
Okay.
am trying to figure that out as we speak.
I don't mind the icy, it's just making a sound.
Yeah.
Splint, it is your turn. Toll, you're next. What do you do, Splint?
All right.
These baddies are about 30 feet in front of you.
Oh, perfect range. A while back when I believe it was Yoshka gave me some of Gulb's. No, it was Diamondback gave me some of Gulb's supplies. He had the exact component that I needed to finish out a spell. That spell being Flaming Sphere. So the first thing that I'm going to do is cast that. I'll mark off the appropriate spell levels of what it is, but it's going to last for a minute, and I can move it on my bonus actions. And for the first time, it takes a bonus action to cast, I think.
Okay.
I can double check, but...
So to let everybody know, this is a 5-foot sphere of fire that appears within an unoccupied space of Splint's choice, and it lasts for a minute, which is 6 rounds of combat. Any creature that ends its turn within 5 feet of the sphere can make a dexterity save and take damage if it doesn't, if it fails, or half damage on success. As a bonus action, Splint, you can move the sphere up to 30 feet, and if you ram the sphere into a creature, the creature also has to take special damage, and it stops moving this turn. So what do you want to do with that, Splint? You create it in front of you, and about 25 feet in front of that is Gulb, Neno, Orden, and then these 2 creatures that are 5 feet from them.
All right. So, to cast it the first time, that costs a bonus action?
I can tell you that. Sorry, casting time for these is just an action for component spells.
Oh, okay. So, I'm just going to cast that, and then...
There is a spot behind these 2 creatures that you can just make out that would be within 5 feet of both of the creatures, but not within 5 feet of Gulb, Neno, or Orden.
Okay. Instead of that, I'm going to cast it in a line. So those 2 creatures, they're relatively next to each other, right?
They are.
All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cast it on one side of one of the creatures, then slam it into the other creature in such a way that it also slams into the other creature, trying to hit both of them.
5-foot sphere. You can hit one of them.
Although
if you do hit one of them, it will... The other creature will start its next turn within it, within 5 feet.
Can't it just keep moving and hit the other creature?
No, it says specifically if it hits one of them, it stops moving.
Oh, the orb stops moving. I thought it meant the creature. That makes more sense. So yeah, I will slam it into one of them, and then the
Okay.
other one will.
And what is your spell DC?
13.
Okay, so let's roll a dex roll for these guys. One of them rolls a noisy 15. The other rolls a 7. So one of them takes full damage, the other takes half. Roll for me then, please. 2d6 fire damage, and one of them will take half.
All right. That'll be 9.
Okay. And the other one, our rule here, our house rule, is that we round up on partial numbers. So the other one takes 5. The light now moving through, it has illuminated with dim light, but clear enough to see what these two guys are. Neno and Orden, you can make out. These also are planty type creatures, but they have more bulk and body to them. One of them is covered with thorns, and is it seems to be sort of like an almost animalish plant that is covered with thorns. The other is a little pygmy-like creature seeming to be made of plant matter. It's illuminated by a magical fiery sphere that's 5 feet wide that has just appeared next to you and slammed into one of them. Toll, it's your turn. Yoshka, you're next.
All right. So I will approach. How far are the creatures away from me exactly?
About 30 feet.
Okay. That is my movement. So I will approach.
Some of them are 30 feet. Some of them are about 60 feet. The two that are 30 feet ran up to Gulb.
Right. Okay. So I will approach them, and I will cast True Strike on one of them.
Okay. One of them is hurt significantly worse than the other. Which one do you want to... The one that looks like it's covered with thorns, or the one that looks like a weird little vegetable pygmy thing?
I'll do the one that's more hurt.
Okay. So, sounds good.
And I don't have counts for things in my inventory on sheets.
I will fix
but
that.
I figured if it was in there, I had one, and it was a level 0 spell. So
yeah, sounds great. Let me give you some counts real quickly. It'll take just a moment.
I would have said something earlier, but I didn't want to interrupt the flow.
Yeah, thanks. That was just my fault for... I neglected to do it accidentally. Zoop. There you go. And, sorry, that's going to keep changing, so you can't do it yet. Paste values only. There you go. Now you have fixed counts for each thing.
Sweet.
One of the creatures who was further back runs forward, and it actually is satisfied with its compatriots attacking Gulb. Seeing this flaming sphere and this other person who's run up, it actually runs by and takes a swipe at Yoshka. Yoshka, you were in the front aside from Gulb, who's now way ahead of you. This creature runs up to you, and it is, you can tell because you're holding your Circle of the Night Watch torch, it is covered with thorns and sharp pointy bits, including thorns that seem to be filling this kind of maw. It doesn't look to be a normal mouth. It's just a part of the vegetation that is bitey. It makes a sort of ravenous attack at you with an 18. Does that hit?
Yeah.
It grabs into you with these thorns that are almost teeth, but it doesn't manage to grab in really hard, and it only does 4 damage.
Okay.
Yoshka, it's your turn. And Belvari, you'll be next after some bad guy stuff.
I am going to... So there's just 2 of them, right?
There are
as
two.
far as we can see.
There are two right next to Gulb, 30 feet ahead of you, illuminated. There's one right in front of you, and you see dim shapes further back. A couple more. But there's one that bit at you right now.
Mm-hmm.
By further back, do you mean further up the path we're heading?
Yes, further south ahead of you.
Okay, I'm gonna do a bonus action Shillelagh and just attack him normal style with my staff.
The one who's in front of you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. 19, 20, 21,
It
23.
Definitely hits.
Okay.
It has an AC of 14.
Okay. 12.
You do 12
damage.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you strike at this creature, and the feeling you have is strange. You've fought things before, but unlike other things that you've hit, it doesn't feel like the muscly, sinewy flesh of an animal. You're definitely striking into something more like a cactus, or it has this kind of pulpy feel to it, which makes sense for what you're seeing. It recoils and is significantly hurt, but it is still standing snarling-ish in front of you. From far back in the back, another runs forward and does not quite make it to you. It's about 10 feet from in front of you, Yoshka, so about 20 feet behind Gulb. Another one runs forward and makes an attack on Toll. This one is one of the smaller creatures that's just leafier. It doesn't have the thorns. It runs up to you, Toll, and it seems to pick you randomly. It's not targeting. It just runs by you, and on the spur of the moment appears to just like stop an attack. And it rolls an 18. Does an 18 hit?
That will hit.
Okay. And it does 3 damage to you. It scratches out at you with these claws. They're not thorns, like I said, but it has these like twig-like protrusions coming out of its fingers that are clawish, and it scratches at your midsection and thigh, and is able to scratch your outer thigh. Belvara, your turn. I think you might be muted, maybe.
I believe he made the simple declaration, darn.
Alvari turns into a saber-toothed tiger. And then he would, I believe there were some that were like 20 feet away from him, out kind of between.
Yep. There's one in particular that's bigger than the rest that is about 20 feet in front of you, which is 10 feet in front of Yoshka. And it seems to be the biggest of them.
I will run up to him and attack him.
Mm-hmm.
Just really quick, let me get my 70, 10.
Neno, you're next. Wow, you rolled a 45?
That's my hit points.
Okay.
Natural
59.
45.
That's right.
Okay. To attack is just a +6 to hit. Yeah. Okay, and it's just a d20. Sorry. I rolled a 21 to hit.
That definitely hits.
Okay, he needs to make a DC 14 strength saving throw or be knocked prone.
A DC what saving throw?
14
Dexterity?
strength.
Strength. Okay. It rolls a 14, so it is not knocked prone.
Okay.
It
so
staggers backwards under the weight of this blow. And do you do damage to it?
Yeah, 15 max damage.
15 damage. This creature is, as I said, by far the biggest. Not by far, but it is significantly bigger than the other creatures. It is not one of the thorn creatures. It's one of the vegetable mattery sort of succulent creatures but it's really fleshy and it seems to be taller and stouter. Your claws, you slashed it with your claws, right?
Yes.
Okay. Your claws dig into its sort of pulpy flesh and really pass through it, and something like an oozing, maybe even something like aloe vera, even ichor, pours out of its gashes, leaving you with a sort of dripping gel on your paw, on your saber-toothed paw.
Good
And
gain
your
of temporary hit
burns are
point.
soothed.
That's right. Your burns are soothed. What did you say, Belvari?
Do I gain a temporary hit point?
That's right. So this creature does a thing like howling, but actually, all of these creatures, when they growl or something, what it sounds like is many twigs in them somewhere vibrating quickly against each other, like a rain stick kind of thing. It's a strange sound. The whole experience so far has been a little offsetting to you. Neno, you are mounted atop this wounded Gulb with Orden, and you can scramble down pretty easily with him, but you'll be within range of creatures. So what would you like to do?
You're muted.
Muted, Aaron?
I'm sorry, Aaron.
Sorry, dang it.
My fault.
I want to fight from the high ground. I'm going to hurl a firebolt down.
From Mount
Gulb. Make a ranged spell attack against the target. On a hit, the target takes 1d10 fire damage.
Okay.
What do I do? Roll?
Yeah, just roll for a hit.
If you look under spells on your character sheet, there will be a plus something spell attack, which will tell you how much to add to the d20.
I can also help with that.
Thank you. Oh, plus 4.
Plus 4? Okay. So what'd you get?
Looks like maybe she's frozen.
Ooh, it's 10 o'clock. Her router rebooted.
Oh no!
Oh,
I will fill in for her, just for us, because I want to make sure we're going to end this round here to be good to everybody. I know we said 10 o'clock. She rolls and an 18 plus 4, 22. So she
22,
definitely
pretty good.
hits. I'm going to, just to help here, I'm going to say that.
Shall I roll the d10 for her?
What's the D10 damage?
Damage?
Yeah, go for it. And I'm going to say that she is attacking the one that hit Gulb for more damage.
The 0 on the d10 die is going to be the 10, right?
That is the 10.
Yeah, there's no 10.
Yeah.
So 10, fully 10 points there.
So Neno, atop this Mount Gulb, also her mount Gulb, making no show of anything, reaches into her component pouch and grabs a couple of components with one hand. You all notice how adept she is at this. She does not even remove the components from her pouch. She simply sticks her hand in and apparently crushes them, and out of the other hand shoots a firebolt. This lady is about 80 years old and has clearly mastered a lot of things in her life. The firebolt streaks downward and in a flash hits the thorny creature that did such significant damage to this zombie Gulb. This thorny creature, the firebolt, as it usually does, it hits the flesh and kind of explodes in some cinders of fire, but does enough damage that the creature itself... Aaron, are you there?
Yes.
We just picked a couple of rolls for you. You did hit, and you hit for max damage. Matt rolled the damage for you. You reach your hand into the pouch and crush the components deftly without removing your hand. Cast this firebolt, which exploded, and as the firebolt exploded, which it normally does when it hits, but this time you notice that it catches the rest of the creature on fire. it collapses to the ground, smoldering and struggling still, but seeming not to be meaningfully active. This creature has been completely incapacitated by...
Good. Burning them up was the goal.
What's that?
Burning them up
Burning
was
them up
the
was
goal.
the goal. And so you have done. The thorny creature that had swiped so hard at Gulb has burst into flame. Its thorns, the tinder on which its own funeral pyre is lit. There's one more creature far away, not far away, but like 30, 40 feet beyond you guys. It's a regular sized creature of the ones that you've been seeing. Its comrade runs directly towards you guys and takes another slash at Gulb, seeming perhaps to trying to be going for Neno, but not able to reach you. It's too high. It's a short creature and you're way up high. The creature...
I like this being tall business.
Yes. The creature slashes out and 17. Does that hit you, Gulb? I think it does.
Yep.
And it hits you for 3 damage.
Alrighty.
Everything hits gold.
And that ends this round, and that also ends this episode. We will pick up next time right here. It is 10:04, but I know in your hearts and minds the night has only just begun. We will continue next time with picking up exactly where we left off on the next round of combat. It'll be Gulb and Diamondback beginning. Thank you all for playing as usual. Thank you, listening audience, for listening. Please feel free to get more details about the world and the story that we're telling at thestarfallcollective.com. And before we go, I just want to say there's no experience this time. I'll actually give you a little bit of experience, but I'll lump it in with this next time, with this encounter next time. But I'll give you experience for the night that you stayed. But just to let you guys know, I was, including all the listening audience, I was a little heavier on the narrative this time, so the action was slower, because I wanted to set the tone for this false night that you've come into. But you'll know from Garriott's warnings and similar that, and your own experience so far, that there's bound to be more action than you're used to in the near future. So that's what we'll look forward to next time.
I like action.
That's right. So
a long time since I smelled action.
That's exactly it. And you have advantage as a saber-toothed tiger on smell-related wisdom. So thanks, everybody. Have a great night, and really appreciate you playing. As always, I will see you next week, and thanks for your participation.